Are we
That'll
there?
do it. Unmuted.
Sheriff, can you hear us?
He's connecting.
Unmuted in 3 ways.
Can anybody hear us on Zoom?
I can hear you. This is Gina.
Okay, Gina, thank you very much. So before we start, is there anybody on Zoom that wants to speak during the public comment period? If you do, unmute yourself and identify yourself. All right, hearing none.
Switch him back.
Anybody in here want to speak on public comment? No? All right. With that, we'll call the Harrison County Commission meeting for Wednesday, December the 2nd to order. If you'll please rise. I'll do the invocation followed by the pledge to the flag. Dear Lord, I pray that you guide us always, satisfy the needs that need to be met during this meeting. Strengthen us as we make tough decisions. I pray that you will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose water never fails. I pray that you'll be fruitful. Father, please guide us that this meeting can be productive. Let us be effective and decisive. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, with that, we have no one for public comment period. Item 2 is review and discuss and consider the approval of format, structure, and content of minutes for A through H, which goes from October to the 18th. Mr. Parker, what's that all about?
First of all, I apologize for the not getting these more in a more timely fashion. Other items just kept shoving it to the back of the burner and finally moved it forward. So apologize for that. But as you gentlemen are aware, we are changing our procedure a little bit somewhat as it relates to the minutes. You have 2 sets or 2 items under each one. You have a 2A and a 2AA down through, and a 2H. The 2A is what I would call the finalized version, if that's how you want to look at that. The 2AA, which looks like this, were Ms. Thomas and her staff forwarded a draft copy of the minutes, which I had sent out, and the corrections or additions, not really corrections, additions, changes, whatever you want to call it, were added in red, and then which may replace some verbiage which is lined out or stricken, double line through that. So the finalized version, A, converts everything to the same font, same color, removes the items that are lined out. It's a matter of that's the procedure and structure and format the commission would like to see. If you want to see these each meeting, or if you just want to see the finalized version, you'll be receiving these in the mail or email, but I didn't know if you've had a chance to review those emails, so that's why I included it for this meeting to see how we wanted to find. This is the first time we've had minutes since we changed our procedure, and again, I apologize for the amount of meetings, but it is what it is at the moment.
Mr. Parker, have you reviewed Robert's rules with regard to minute taking and when there is corrections to the minutes? With if my memory serves me correct, as from my parliamentarian class, was that you could write it in the ledger and so on, and those minutes could be approved as noted, with changes, corrections, or whatever, and wouldn't have to be put into a formal copy and taken out
Yeah, now,
what was initially put in there.
the draft minutes, anything that we present for approval would have to be, in my opinion, like the 2A would be noted on the October 7th in the margin, if we, had something in error, or if we had somebody making the motion and it was another commissioner. Until that time, I think you could utilize this procedure or any other draft procedure you want to utilize. But once they're presented for approval, I do believe you're right, Mr. President. If we had a wrong date, we had October 17th and it should be 7th. The 17th should be stricken, 7 noted in the margin and initialed. And then that would be the finalized or official copy of the minutes.
So the minutes presented to the commission would be the final copy and not the one that maybe has some edit done to it like that?
That's correct, yes.
So we will not see that one.
You can see this, if you want to see this, you can. I'll be sending it to you in an email for if you have corrections or additions or deletions. But once those are received, then it's converted to a finalized version. But if you want to see these each
Either
meeting,
document could be approved as the official minutes, correct?
yeah,
May I have my piece at some point in time?
What's that, Sue?
May I speak at some point in time on these minutes?
So,
yeah, either set could be approved for the official minutes. That's why they're both there, and what the commission would like to see is the official
all right,
minutes for the permanent record.
all right. Questions, comments, Patsy?
So Willie, you're gonna do this from now on?
Ms. Thomas's staff, she and her staff has sent a draft copy of the minutes
Yeah,
that we received via email.
I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is from your county administrator desk.
It's a matter of who you want to do this. I can have staff do this, Ms. Thomas's staff could do this, anybody could do this. It's a matter of just making the change, making the changes from here to here.
I'm good with it. I just wanna make sure that's another role you want in your,
I'm not saying I necessarily want it, it's a matter of who
do you think can do it then? I mean,
Anybody
sure,
can
who-
do that.
Who do you want to do it then?
anybody's staff could
Can
do
her
that.
staff do it?
Her staff could do it, the commission staff could do it.
But can I say something, please?
Go right ahead.
Most of that, with a lot of that, due to the previous circumstances and the previous requests, there are places in there that I said put word for word what was said, and they were changed. That's all I want to say.
Say something else.
That's all I want to say.
All I'm asking is David
But
Rogers,
you guys are gonna vote on something that
do you guys want
he's
Willie
changed.
with his?
No, I think that's really the responsibility of the county clerk or the clerk of the county commission. But, my thing is that once the clerk or her staff takes the minutes based on, I think they generate that from a recording, that if we had a change or whatever, then the red or whatever, I don't see going back and trying to correct that. If there was an issue or a difference noted in the document, and the document doesn't have to be real pretty, sign off on whatever it is. I mean, because even if Willie sends us a final document based on his and the clerk's interpretation of what went on, and again, the clerk has the audio that they base it off of, and it comes to us, and we change it anyway. I mean, if we had a question. So I think the document should stand as whatever the county clerk's office brings forward, and as we make the changes on that document to reflect our perception or whatever, instead of because it's misleading to me, Willie, that we take the copy with red, let's say,
Mhm.
where we have a difference. And then we make it look nice by a clean document with all the changes that,
These-
to me, that would,
Yeah, these,
that would be the official document that we approve with all the
if
changes.
you want to approve it, which is fine, it's just a matter, these are in draft form until they're presented at a meeting. That's why you have both.
That's correct.
That's why for this meeting, you have both for all those. I didn't know if you wanted to approve the red per se with the stripes, you know, it wasn't my intention to change the intent or anything. There's some restructuring of language and some additional, points were added.
Some stuff was taken out as far as the
Yeah.
copiers, the numbers, and,
Well,
I
that's
would-
because the numbers were not all included. Not all the numbers were included.
well, then you took them all out. We could include them all.
What,
I thought Mr. Hinkle wanted more information rather than less.
Well, but those were coming back for a future meeting for the copiers. Because the information that was,
We're spending more time on these minutes.
the information that was presented was not total as it was presented in the draft minutes. And the numbers hadn't been reviewed at that point for the copiers.
yeah.
So
Well,
that's one reason that section was changed. And just as it wasn't noted in the draft minutes that Just Tex had submitted a proposal, but it was received after the deadline, that was added in the red.
well, as you all know, I sent you an email based on when this started coming about. And I wasn't trying to be a smart aleck or anything, but it's been my experience in dealing with organizations that minutes should not reflect all the details on it. So I sent you all a little link to Robert's Rules Dummies for minute taking. So, I mean, that's my thought. Now, commissioners, and I know David is wants everything detailed, and had at one time talked about getting a stenographer or something here to actually take verbatim minutes. I think that's dangerous. But, it's the will of the commission. So, Patsy, anything else? You got enough information?
Yeah, I did.
David, let's hear from you. You have a preference, one or the other?
I guess the issue is, we've got Susan taking minutes, Willie trying to keep track, and then the two of them combined. To try to come up with the minutes of our. That's what I see is the issue is whose minutes are correct.
Well, the minute taker is our clerk and her staff.
Right.
So, I mean, that's the minutes. And if we have a discrepancy, I
If the
mean,
minutes are given back to us at a time rate where you can read back, I don't have a problem reading my minute, what I said in the meeting.
right. And to validate that, David, Willie doesn't have the audio, Susan does. And she could go back and she could say, well, David, you really didn't make that.
And that's fine, I'm fine
Yeah.
with that.
All right,
If that-
Mr. Parker, let's
if that-
do
if That
this.
settles the issue of who's gonna come with the final minutes.
That's right. The final minutes will be approved by your commission. And what format would be up to the commission. Since we only have a couple more meetings left, maybe this is something needs to be brought up by the new commission to approve one way or the other. I don't think I should be trying to do something for the next group. So I would I would suggest then that we keep, Willie, the minutes with the red in there. Mark in the ledger anything that the commission feels is, needs to be corrected or restated or whatever. And let that copy then be approved and as part of the record for the commission's action on business. Any problem with that, Pat?
That's fine if that's, does not matter to me. That's why
Okay,
you have,
I understand. All right, well, that's my recommendation, just to keep the red copy or the corrected copy, and we can continue to do that on the paper that's brought forward on us. And then come January, your new commission can do, if you want to approach it again, then whatever they want.
Hey, Mr. President,
Go ahead.
if it's okay with David as well, we do have only one guest today, and apparently it's part of the agenda. Before you leave, can we?
Absolutely.
Let's see.
Oh, I'm not gonna let Mr. Hawes sit back there. He just, we want to make him suffer a little bit before we get to you. All right, with that, motion just to keep it as is with the red copy and revisit it after the first of the year.
Yeah, because we have the board doc being ordered, right, Willie?
yes,
So we're on track. Anyway.
yes.
Okay.
All right. Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor say aye. All right, thank you, guys. And Susan and Willie, thank you for your efforts to try to make us the best we can be. All right, item 3 is consent agenda, and then we'll get with Mr. Hawes on his approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, Mr. Parker, what is the number for,
It's item 12. It's review and discuss, consider
All right.
proposal.
without
We
any?
had Triad Engineering, but we do have 2 other proposals from Thrasher
Okay,
and CEC.
all right. Item 12 is to review, discuss, and consider a proposal from Triad Engineering Incorporated for construction and testing for certain activities or aspects regarding the GSA project. And in addition to that, Joanne, your news article clarified some stuff, and we have 2 other companies that have submitted for consideration. One of them being Thrasher, and the other one is, who's the other one?
CEC, Civil Environmental Consultants
Okay,
Incorporated, and then
Okay.
Triad Engineering out of Morgantown.
all
The
right.
other 2 are local Harrison County firms.
Okay, Triad, local?
Triad is from Morgantown.
Oh, okay, but CEC is local
Yes, CEC is local as well as Thrasher.
as well as Thrasher. Okay, open up for discussion. Matter of fact, Mr. Haas, I know, why don't you come up, identify yourself, and just any questions that the group may have, or anything that you want to highlight. Okay? Come on up. Just identify yourself for the record and who you're representing.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to be here today. Okay. Ryan Hawes with Civil and Environmental Consultants, as has been mentioned, local firm here. I have over 100 employees in Bridgeport, Harrison County. We'd seen this come out in the paper that there was an interest in construction management or inspection testing services for the annex, and we've had participation in various aspects of this, from geotechnical investigation to looking at existing utilities and investigating that. We've done some survey work for the project, so we have an understanding of the project, and we are very interested in being part of this and continuing on. We think it's an important part to have a construction manager on site, managing what's going on, making sure that the appropriate materials are being used, that things are put in correctly, so that you get the best product possible. With our local presence, with our existing understanding of the project, we feel that we bring some efficiencies and improvements and overall a better product to the county by participating in this project.
Hey, Brian, any questions of Brian? I think we do have is Chad Riley on Zoom. Chad, if you are on, unmute yourself. Chad. How about Chad Biller? There we go, Chad Riley. Oh, it's got Biller on there. I didn't know whether you had a name change or not. Okay. All right. We received your
our end
your
there.
thing today, so why don't you just go ahead, just like Brian did, and let the commission know.
They need to unmute themselves, Mr. President.
Unmute yourself, Chad. Are we unmuted? Your volume, or is that us?
That's him.
You got to raise your volume. Chad, we're still not hearing your audio. All right.
See, he's gone with it. Call me, he says. All right.
They need an IT guy, don't they?
We cannot hear you for some reason. If you'd like, I can put you on. All right. Well, hold on. Let me just put you on the speakerphone here and see if we can do that. Hold on. Can you hear us now?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, well, I've got you on my cell phone, yes.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for accommodating us on the phone here. Appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. Much like Ryan said, we're a Harrison County firm. We've been doing materials testing, construction oversight on these types of projects for about 37 years. We have over 80 construction inspection personnel and certified technicians who do this type of work. We've got a nationally certified lab right here in Bridgeport, so we do all this work in-house ourselves. Obviously, been following the project, familiar with it, and this type of stuff is right up our alley, and just appreciate the opportunity to present a price proposal for your consideration.
All right, Chad. Thank you very much. Patsy, any questions of Thrasher Group?
No.
David? All right. Chad, thank you very much. You can go back to your Zoom.
Thank you.
One of the items, Mr. President, all three firms are very similar in price.
I do have one question with C, two questions with CC. You have that your agreement was being governed by the laws of Pennsylvania. This is, I read this, about a sticking point for it to come back to be in West Virginia.
We modify that on a regular basis. That's kind of our corporate document, but
Okay,
that can be modified.
and as far as the information that's generated, you have it that you own it and not us, That's another issue for us.
In terms of product or?
Yeah.
No, I mean, we don't hold on to any of that. You guys are paying for the service. Anything that's generated as part of this would be yours.
I don't know if you two looked at the pricing, but if we're talking dollars, like a couple bucks.
David, I haven't, because two of them just came in this morning, and I'm assuming, have you had an opportunity to take a look at any kind of comparables with all three?
I did read his because it came in yesterday but I saw Thrasher's this morning at 8:55. So do you want to, Willie, do you want to bring us back your recommendation next week?
We can, that's,
I think that would be good, and then if the commission has any questions as we continue to go through it, then we can bring that to your attention, Willie, and you can make that part of when you're doing the comparison. David, is that all right?
Or do you want to, David, you know what you already know my attitude right now. I don't care who gets it as long as it's Harrison. You know how I feel.
No, yeah, no, I understand that. And like I said, each where they're looking over each other's backs. As close as you guys are.
yeah, this, and, you know, the reason the triad was in the agenda is we had this back in September. The engineering firm solicited triad because under the contract, we're required to have independent testing and verification of certain aspects. And then we received proposals from Thrasher and CEC in addition to triad, so.
Who did the core borings?
Who did the core?
CEC did the core boring. CEC has worked on the site. Not saying Thrasher couldn't have, but CEC was selected for survey work, core borings, and maybe some other work, initial other items they have done. So they have done previous work on the site.
Well, Willie, maybe, and David, maybe what, I know you said there was just a few dollars difference. Maybe what Willie can do is, because I know how Patsy likes to see those dollars up front, do the comparables as to pluses and minuses in dollar terms for each of the groups. And then I'm assuming you're going to throw all three of them back and say, okay, that's your all's decision.
That would be a commission decision, yes.
We don't actually have to put this out to bid. We can choose any of the three.
That's correct, because it's a service, it's a professional service.
And I'm gonna say it right to you, and I hope Chad's listening. Whoever has the best numbers is who I vote for. But I admit to you, I've already excluded one company because there's no bid process. I'm not gonna hire Montgomery County when you guys are home. So,
Appreciate that.
So if you're lower than Chad, great. If Chad's lower than you, great. Keep the money at home.
David,
Oh, I'm fine with that. I mean,
All
I
right.
think there's,
put your tabulations together, Mr. Parker.
We're gonna do
And
it right now, Willie, and just right now tell us who and tell us who.
Yeah, the lowest price would be Thrasher by a few dollars. I can go over those numbers. For example, on a half-day basis, again, depends on whether you look for a full-day observation or a half-day observation, and that may vary depending on what's going on. Let me find that sheet. For Thrasher, for a 4.5 hour day is $262. CEC is $267.50, and both Harrison County firms are lower than Triad by a few dollars.
Okay.
But
And
Willie, instead of going over detail on that, you're going to have to do it next week anyway. So put the tabulation sheet together so that we can have it.
we can do that.
All right. Move to, on that item, need a motion to bring it back next week. That's
I'm
an
gonna put the
action
motion on
item.
the floor right now. Motion for you next week to tell us who the lowest firm was and to accept. Simple.
All right. Any further discussion, David, on it?
I'll check to make sure they've covered everything, but it appears
Yeah.
they've covered everything. and comparable services.
All right. Any further discussion? Dave?
No, I'm still not gonna say that
I'm
pricing is gonna be, with this close mind, deciding factor.
right, okay,
I think it's gonna be what Willie said, if you look at the whole document, what's being
Right.
offered.
all right. And Willie, on that, not only the price, but also, as David says, the strengths
Right, yes.
of each of the groups. All right. All in favor, say aye. Okay. Ryan, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So your dad, we said, hey.
We'll do that, thank you.
All right, payroll change notices.
We have none to present. We did have some included in the consent agenda, which you gentlemen have approved, which was the standard pay grade and step increase for a couple of departments.
Item 5, exonerations, corrected tickets, joint property applications,
We have none.
consolidation of land, segregation of land.
We have none.
Item 7 is consider of approval of project fund requisition for payment of costs associated with the project to be financed from proceeds of the Series 2019 bonds issued to Charles Point Economic Opportunity Development District, Series 2015 A and B, Development District 3, White Oaks Project number 2, and Series 208A, Charles Point Project number 2, North Land Bay Improvements. Mr. Park.
We have none. Sorry, I could have cut in, couldn't I?
That's all right.
You were enjoying it too much.
I was, you're right.
Item 8, consider of approval of project fund requisition for payment of costs associated with General Service Administration Building Project to be financed from proceeds of Series 2020 bonds issued for the Harrison County Building Commission. Mr. Parker.
We do have requisition that are in the packet as outlined for Green River Group. Some reimbursement for the Harrison County Commission is requisition 4. Requisition 3 is Green River Group. Requisition 5 is Silling and Associates, if I remember correctly. I'm getting to that page, hopefully. 5, yes, is Silling and Associates. And then requisition 6 is payments as it relates for waste management and disposal fees associated with the project.
All right.
So requisitions 3, 4, 5, and 6 are presented for approval.
Questions? Patsy? David? Motion to approve. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, item 9, review and discuss, consider reappointment for the Harrison County Development Authority. Mike Jenkins represents labor, and that appointment would have to be someone in the labor field. And Dick Welch, he's an at-large, and their term ended
In June of this
in
year.
June. And again, just for clarification, any appointments we make serve until either reappointed or replaced. Mr. Parker?
Correct.
That's correct, okay. The new term would be from July 2020 through June 30th, 2023. All right, what's the pleasure of the board? Is Mike Jenkins the president of that development authority right now?
Yes. And Mr. Welch has always been in attendance, so they're both excellent board members.
Right, so the Richards appointment is anyone. It's
Yes,
an
Mr. Welch.
at-large
Yeah, it's an
that
at-large
Can
appointment.
be anyone.
Yes.
And we got
All
a
right.
letter this week for next week for.
Yes, we do, and I expect we'll receive some others, but we did receive a letter from the city of Bridgeport for their
Oh,
appointment.
that's right. I saw that from
Yeah,
Mayor
then we'll
Lang.
have
Well, can you just call all, this here will leave 6 more people? Call all 6 and see if they want to stay on, if they do.
Yeah, we've sent letters. We'll follow. I'll have Jackie follow up just.
And then if they don't, then we'll probably get the
Yeah.
process replaced.
All right.
Motion approved.
All right, motion to approve. And are we including Lang on there?
Not till next week.
Yeah, I'll bring that back next week.
Okay. Motion to approve. David, anything?
No.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Item 10 is review, discuss, and consider correspondence from me regarding appointment to fill the unexpired term of county clerk. I just want this to be made as part of the permanent record. I know I've talked to all parties, all commissioners, and I don't know whether you've taken me seriously or not. So I just thought I'd make it part of the record, and just know that as you all are viewing a number of people that will be coming to you asking to be considered for that appointment, that I just would appreciate being thrown into that mix. So just a motion to make it part of today's record. No, you don't want to make it part of it.
Yeah, motion.
All right.
Yes, aye.
All in favor, say aye. Thank you. Item 11 is review, discuss, and consider transfer of unused sick leave from other agencies upon verification. Mr. Parker, and I have a question to the clerk. And maybe my question should be first to Susan. Susan, years ago when Willie had requested, I think Bernie was still county commissioner, did we not approve his transfer of sick leave? I just
don't
recently
recall. I
heard
know
that.
it was added to the personnel manual, and I contacted the retirement board as far as our liability.
That what, Susan?
I contacted the retirement board to make sure that could happen.
And?
And I was told we would have to take the liability of the days from wherever it comes from before we take ours.
The current policy that's in place allows for that. The request from the sheriff, as I understand it, would be, and I think this gentleman has 20 some days or thereabouts. But I would recommend that if you do it for active employees as well as future employees. And it would have to be immediately available, and which is budgeted for in the salary line item unless you replace them. There's no additional cost to the county because that salary budget's already there. And then it would be available for retirement service credit then upon reaching the retirement age, assuming they have any balance left over.
Can they use it if their initial sick leave runs out?
Yes, assuming it's approved by the commission. That's what Ms. Thomas was talking about, the liability for it to be available for retirement service credit. The retirement board says it needs to be available for use as sick leave. And that, of course, that would be covered by your budget salary. The only time there would be additional cost is if you replace that position and had someone out on sick leave in addition to that.
Well, the other thing, I don't recall from my years here that the manual initially spoke to that. So if we had a change to the policy employee manual, when did that go into effect with the policy in the employee manual? I know it wasn't there in 2003.
No, it was added in 2013, 2014 is when that provision was added that would allow that on commission approval.
Okay,
Yes.
so 2014, are we looking at employees that from that particular day, that particular time? 2014, or are you going back to
I would recommend that,
1990?
I would recommend that you have employees that, active current employees that are on the payroll as of today, and any future employees if you consider this.
What does your manual say now, though? Can these previous employees come back and say, hey, I want mine back?
If they're active employees, yes. As would be my recommendation, if the commission considers this, to do it for all active employees that are on the
But you're
payroll
saying
currently.
now, I'm talking previous employees that left here, and if they haven't retired,
No,
what
they
about
would
their
not,
time? They lost it.
yeah, they would not be eligible, just as the state has changed the provisions on the use of sick leave and vacation leave based on certain criteria, for insurance coverage, retirement credit, and for example, people that are hired after, I think it's July 16, 17 or whatever, they have, different restrictions or available uses for sick leave or vacation leave when they retire than someone that was hired in 2000. And you would have similar, so it would be if the commission so desires, it would be A, current employees, active employees. B, it would have to follow the guidelines as established by the Consolidated Public Retirement Board on the use of such leave, depending on their date of hire. And C, if you wanted to put a cap on it, you could. That's totally up to the commission, or you can leave it as is and not allow transfers in.
So what you're saying, and I probably should be.
Go ahead, Susan.
So you're revising the current.
The current manual allows for this provision.
Okay.
It's just a
But
matter
they
of,
have to have permission from the commission.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Just want to make sure I understand.
yes.
So it already allows.
It's a matter of clarifying it for available, immediate available use, yes.
Does
That's
the
the
manual
issue.
say somewhere when these additions, well, that's not the proper words, when you change something in the personnel manual, is that in the personnel manual, what date these are changed? Somewhere to be located?
Yeah, from the original adoption date, anything after that is noted when it changed, yes.
But is it in the manual for somebody to see when it was?
Yes, it has the list of the adoption date and then the revisions.
Because I couldn't find, I mean, took a quick look at
Yeah,
it
there-
yesterday, and I couldn't find
Yeah, the
this
revision.
particular item.
That was in the original adoption, 13, 14.
I don't think
It was,
it was added.
no. It was in the original adoption, I do believe. I'll double check, but I'm fairly certain.
But it was a new personnel manual that it became
Yes,
adopted.
Yes,
So it was a
yes,
change from previous.
yes,
That's my
it
point.
yeah, it
That's
was
my
in the
point.
one, the original
After
one
you
that,
came is when we changed it.
yeah, 2013, 14.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2014, because it wasn't in there prior to that.
Yeah, 2000, I think 13 or 14 was when the current original manual was adopted. Prior to that was 1999, or I do believe, or something like
You're
that.
correct. All right. Is there any action that needs to be, or that the commission wants to take today on this, or what's your pleasure? David, I'll go to you first.
Well, we've been requested by the sheriff for an employee.
Well, yeah, and of course, that could always still come about. It's not earth-shaking that the 20-some days for Gordon would, I mean, he's not planning on retiring right now. He's just coming on,
But it-
so.
isn't it one?
Patsy, what's your,
No,
David, continue that.
I think there's other employees, I'm not sure, because I understand that we budget for these people. The only time it becomes an issue with partners that they never use these hours, they can apply them towards retirement.
Yes, depending on their date of hire is what they could utilize those for on their retirement.
But we are talking about, go ahead.
no, go ahead, Dave.
We are talking about an employee who has accumulated this in another government, bringing them forward too, right?
Yes, for example, another request we've had in the past is Mr. Tarango. That has not presented to the commission based on the issue we had with when mine was presented for approval. Because when mine was presented for approval, it was for retirement service credit only. The State Retirement Board of Consolidated Public Retirement Board stated they would not recognize that. It has to be available for immediate use and or for retirement service credit based on data hire.
And was that prior to the 2013, 2014 revision to the personnel manual? Was the information on you?
That was after the adoption of the 13-14 manual.
Okay, so that came after that.
Yes.
So if these hours are applied to retirement or days, does it affect the county?
You better get a fiscal note, David.
The only fiscal note that the only time it affects the county is A, it has to be for available immediate use for Mr. Gordon's. We'll use him since that's the request that's here. I think it's 20 days or there approximately. If it's approved by the commission, those 20 days would be added, the 160 hours added to his available sick leave. If he had an illness and needed to use those, his salary is already budgeted in that department. So there's no additional cost as it relates to that. The only time there would be additional cost is if you went out and hired somebody, replaced that individual during that time period. Not sure what happened there.
What happens if they leave?
If they leave,
Get a cash buy.
no, not for unused sick leave. That's according to our policy, and that's, it's not changing that. Our policy is you do not, if it's not used for retirement service credit or retirement purposes, then it's not paid out, unused sick leave. There's no fiscal, note there. Unlike vacation, accrued vacation, which is paid out.
But they can use that time if they need to.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But that doesn't affect the budget unless you replace that individual, add another person. Otherwise, there's no budgetary impact.
So, Patsy, what's the downside?
The downside, you're picking up another county's, I won't use the word liability, but remember, if we do this for this young man today, we've got to do it for everybody. And in case of his dates, we're looking at years for other individuals.
If not, if we put a cap.
You could put a cap on it.
You know, I see your point, Willie, and at the same time, I appreciate, you made decisions and your time in Upshur County was rewarded in Upshur County, and your time in Harrison County has been honored in Harrison.
Yeah, the reason it's on the agenda is because we had a request from the sheriff's office.
Right, this isn't about Willie today.
No.
So, but David, I'm not gonna move forward with this young man, not because of the young man, but if we do it for one, we have to do it for all.
I would concur with that, yes.
The vote today isn't because we can't leave anybody out, but there is a fiscal responsibility to this. That
That's what I'm asking,
will
what it
come onto
is.
the Harrison County taxpayer.
What if somebody's off, they have a bunch, unless you put a cap on it, if they're off for
I'm saying
a
that
month,
they have to have
if they're off for 2 months, that
But
puts somebody in a bond, and then how you gonna cover that? I had that kind of thing happen to me.
I don't argue that, but it's no
And
different.
you might have to
than
bring
the-
somebody in that, which affects your budget. And I'm not opposed to helping anybody, don't get me wrong, but there's your liability.
Yeah, the only, in my understanding or my
You can bring
opinion,
in another employee, otherwise everything's in the budget covered.
Right.
yes, the only expense is if you replace or fill that position while someone's off. And you may have, for example, right now, someone could be off on family medical leave
You got the same issue.
and you have the same issues.
Then you got two
With
people
the
that are off.
exception, whatever the filling that individual's job You could do that through a contract, you could do it through part-time, you could do it through a
Correct.
number of others that may already be in your budget to allow that to happen under part-time hours, or the county commission granted additional funds for that individual.
It would be,
So the one with the sick leave will just,
it
I
would be
mean, it's
my,
already in there.
yeah, it's already there. It would be, unless someone's gonna be out extreme long-term. That's why you may wanna put a cap, certain cap on it, similar to family medical leave cap. Then that would mitigate, then if someone's gonna be off for 6 months or a year, then you would need to possibly replace that position, but you wouldn't, if you put a cap on the number of hours, you wouldn't have that expense beyond the
But the replacement is
12-week
that
time
employee.
period.
That employee may be coming back at the end of that period of time.
Yes,
Therefore, if you're replacing them, unless the
Unless you
commission
just do it on
granted
a-
a new position, it would only be a temporary type. thing.
temporary position, yes,
All right,
that's correct. I mean, I don't see a large financial impact to the county in the overall vast majority, maybe close to 100% of the cases, because the funding's already in the budget.
all right. We've heard from staff what's the pleasure and action needs to be taken.
I'd like to make a motion.
Do what?
I'd like to make a motion.
Go make the motion, David.
Transfer of unused sick leave for all active current employees as of December 2nd, 2020, and future hires. Upon verification from the previous employer, will allow the transfer up to 60 days of unused sick leave for immediate availability and use.
All right.
And this action doesn't alter any other guidelines.
That means somebody coming in, maximum they can carry over would be 60. All right.
60 days.
Any further comments? Okay, that's the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Patsy will be reflected as no. All right. Item 13. Well, let me go down, since I've only got about a half an hour left on a couple of these items. Let's do number 14. We'll come back to 13 on the power outage. Item 14 is review, discuss, and consider Motorola Solution Dispatch Council proposal for E911. Mr. Bump, and even before you start, do we still have an active tower on the Sutton project, the Sutton
Yes,
project?
and I was out there Friday and Saturday working on that project.
Friday and Saturday?
Yes.
You do realize that communication goes a long ways. And when there was an issue that parts or whatever couldn't be, it was going to take some time.
So I got two and I got one this time.
Communicate with the property owner.
Yep.
Because they were ready to tear the tower down.
Duly chastised.
Just to let you know.
I got backup parts for the backup parts this time.
All right, Mr. Bump, floor is yours.
What we're looking for is to populate the remaining 5 dispatch positions with the Motorola radio gear. Presently, they don't have radio capability. Just the computer-aided dispatch, the CAD, is all that's there. The big impetus for us wanting to go ahead and do this now is we're getting ready to go into training, and with the physical distancing that's required, we need to be able to spread out more in that room than we're able to do now. So if we could add these other 5 positions, that'll put radio at all 14 positions in that room. Not only give us plenty of room to spread out when we need to do training, but also to ramp up or help cover off another facility if we need to in the future. This is a bit newer model than what we're used to. It uses less hardware, but more software. And that's what the primary cost in this is licensing and software. We started just a little north of 250 and we whittled them down to, what was it, 195?
195.
Removing some things that didn't need done, beating on them a little bit to reflect our long-term relationship with them. This is adding on to millions of dollars worth of investments over the last 10 years between the radio system and the console gear we have now. Just expanding our capabilities within that room from 9 positions to 14.
Just as a note, Mr. President, Commissioners, I would suggest if the commission moves forward, and I would recommend we move forward, then submitting this for reimbursement under the CARES Act as it relates to social distancing and requirements. So I think that would be an eligible expense.
All right.
We would upfront the cost and then get reimbursed.
Where would the upfront money come from?
Upfront money would come from the vital service levy.
Okay, so it will be monies that's already in the
Yes.
budget.
Or in that fund, yes.
All right. I would assume that Paul, your immediate supervisor, Ms. Sells, has been properly.
Everybody's been carbon
informed on
copied
this.
on it, correct?
And so from you to her to Willie, which would be the protocol,
I'll double shoot everything that
and they
goes
have
both ways.
Mr. Parker.
Yes,
Ms. Sells give her approval.
Yeah, we've discussed this. It's been out there for a few weeks.
Yeah.
All right.
Paul's communicated via email, and we've had the opportunity to look at it, and it would be the staff's recommendation to proceed. Funding coming from the vital service levy with reimbursement submitted under the CARES Act.
I need to add one thing in interest of full disclosure. We will need to have, I'll throw something at me now, I can see it already. We'll have to, I don't buy PCs from Motorola. They pretty much triple the price on them. We can buy them ourselves, much cheaper. We have to do the installation of the software. But that's an added cost of about $5,000 for the 5 PCs we'll need as well.
You don't lose quality.
No, we buy the same product. We just don't have the bat
So
wings on
you're
it.
throwing out the middle person.
Right.
What's the yearly license fee?
What's that yearly is, there isn't necessarily on that. I mean, they want us to do a maintenance contract now. I'm in discussion with them because I don't like that number either. We'll actually meet with him tomorrow. It's in the neighborhood of, I think, $23,000 a year for the maintenance contracts for that, and I'm beating them up on that a little bit too. I don't like that number.
You know, Paul, I had an iPhone 6. Well, I had an iPhone 6, an iPhone 8 came out, and an iPhone 10, and I waited for an iPhone 12. Every time a new gadget comes out, we can't buy it.
This isn't a new gadget. This is adding on to our gadgets.
But we don't need it.
Yeah, we do.
No, we don't.
Okay.
No, we don't. And to say we do, it's just another toy out there for 5 desks to sit empty. Now, you want to move people around, move around what you already have existing, in my opinion. But this is not a one-time hit. Nothing we buy. out
Oh,
there
nothing
is
we
a
buy is a one-time. I'll guarantee you that.
And the money wasn't going to take out of the budget that wasn't already in it. Now, I know that's what the money's for, but at the same time, I go out there, I visit you guys, I know what you're doing, how important. Does this do one thing to get somebody to Main Street Bridgeport on a cardiac arrest faster?
Yes.
What?
It allows us to better train and better monitor on having more.
Situation where an 8th line rolled
Yeah.
over to a 9th line with no GPS. Has that been fixed? You just had a situation that was brought to the commission. Has that been fixed?
Do we want more trunks? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, we just had. this
I'll investigate that. I will come back to you in about a month with that
That's my
information.
point. Does it make us any better?
Yes. Or else I wouldn't be here.
All right, Patsy, how about formulating a motion or for an action?
I got a couple.
No, let David go ahead.
All right, David?
Willie talked about CARES Act. Our 911 center is Harrison Taylor. Have they been talked to about any CARES Act money for this?
I have not, no. We can, I have not.
Taylor supplies us money only by,
The telephone.
Telephones.
Telephone itself.
They're 911 fees, yes.
do they have any levy money that they, or do they have a levy?
Not that I'm aware of.
We have a fire service levy, and well, they fire an EMS levy, but that goes to those agencies.
One thing we do need to do is talk to Taylor County about an increase in their 911 fee. I don't know how long it's been since they've increased their fee, but it's been
I think never.
a substantial amount of time.
For me to, I don't know when this has to be settled, but I'd like to know if Taylor County will submit part of this cost or some of our other costs into their CARES Act money, and where they stand on their 911 fees. And I still need to know where we stand with all the cities and their funding of the last system we bought.
Understood.
So I hear they're gonna do things, but I haven't seen the money. And if we're gonna do this, it's gotta come out of CARES Act money, or you're gonna have to come back to me with, somehow, I don't know what the equipment cost is versus the maintenance cost, but because in the past, I know we paid for a telephone system, cash, I don't know, what was that? $500,000?
I'm thinking 350.
Yeah, okay, I was thinking 280 or 350.
So we shelled out a lot of cash over the last couple of years, so I'd like to see Taylor County get more skin in the game. I think they're skating. I haven't seen the cities pay up their half that we paid for. So I'm not against increasing your size, but you guys gotta come back and show that if we loan money,
You get it back.
that we get it back, and right now that track record's not there. So
All right.
that's all I have to say.
David, you have a motion then? You want to defer?
I would like them to bring it back, and I'll give you 2 weeks
All right.
to sort it out. Is that all right, Patsy?
Yeah. You get paid for it? Sure.
All right, so we're going to defer item 14, Mr. Parker. You can bring it back on the agenda when you
All right.
feel the commission has got enough information to
Bring some money in.
make a decision.
Understand.
These other people that have promised to pay.
Yep.
Because I'm all for strong arming them and saying, oops,
Time to,
pay or
Right.
we'll cut you off, but
I don't know how that works
Let
out,
me ask a question. Jim, are you following the money from the Taylor County
but I agree.
911?
Yes, sir. They are sending their monthly checks, and that includes the quarterly wireless fees too. They are in good
yeah,
standing.
they've been very good since changing the guard over there.
Do we get both mobile phones as well as hard lines?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions? Hearing none. Paul, you got your marching orders.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go down to Susan on item 16. So go back to 15, 13 and 15. Item 16, review, discuss, consider certification of election results for the general election of November 3rd, 2020. This is the due diligence that we went over for a week or so. And we're ready for certification. Is that right, Susan?
Yes. We've been ready since 48 hours after we stopped.
All right. Either or, Mr. Parker or Ms. Thomas.
It's just a formality. I
Yeah.
mean, we have it typed out.
Yeah, it's ready, presented for approval by the commission.
All right. Any problems? David, I understand since you weren't involved in that process, like I wasn't involved in the primary process, you're recusing yourself?
yes, sir.
All right, so that'll be Patsy and I, because you need two commissioners, right, Susan? Patsy, motion
So you
to
have both.
certify.
You have both the certifications, right? Okay.
You need it signed or anything?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. All
And
in
then I
favor,
gotta get
say
to
aye.
Charleston before they cut
Aye.
our fingers off.
And Susan,
Waiting on us.
Susan, is this where the envelopes are ready for us to fix our signature?
We're not there yet, but we
All right.
gotta get
You're
those
ready.
ballots out of the box.
When you're ready for that.
We're
you,
working on another election, so. We're getting there.
Is there another one?
Yeah.
Here you go, Pat. All right, item 17, review, discuss, and consider lease purchase of 2 vehicles for law enforcement and finance of 2 most recent purchases. Sheriff, if you'll unmute yourself. He's all the way up on the top.
To wake up my mouse.
Okay. We'll yield to you right now.
Okay. Yeah, the item agenda is not exactly what we're wanting to propose, but it's very close. As you guys know, we had discussions in the last budget year and over vehicles, because at least the last 2 sheriffs and at least the last 20 years, the sheriff's office has had a vehicle rotation plan. And just a quick history how that worked is that every 3 years, the office would replace 18 cruisers, and they would lease finance those through a lease purchase. This last budget year, due to the coronavirus and the uncertainty of the overall county budget, we decided that we would just wait this year and see what happened. So we kind of piecemealed as cruisers became available with funding, we would pick those up. We didn't order any. And part of that problem was that they weren't manufacturing in the early coronavirus days because everything was shut down. So basically we ended up piecemealing and we got 5 vehicles, 2 of which were paid outright out of the new equipment line item in the sheriff's law enforcement budget. 2 were, I think, lease financed, 1 by grant, just several different options. But what we've recently learned that a couple of our vehicles, one was totaled in a crash. Deputy was responding to a shots fired domestic call and hit a guardrail. And due to the age of the cruiser, however, there wasn't a terrible amount of damage, in my opinion. But due to the age of the cruiser and the high mileage that we have on all of the cruisers, the insurance provider totaled that. So that takes that car out of commission. And we had one just gave up, its life expectancy. So we're 2 down right now. I was told yesterday that we have 3 that the exhaust is leaking in the passenger compartments of the vehicles. And, so we have to look at that and look at if it's feasible to fix those. However, the majority of our fleet is decent. The guys in the garage do a great job keeping them on the road. But there's just some of them that are just, when they're not replaced after 5, 8 years, they just become bad. The oldest cruiser that we still have in service is 2007. We have 2 of those still out. One's being used as an administrative vehicle and the other is used as a spare. But with all that being said, there are currently 3 cruisers available on somewhat local lots that are ready for pickup. And that's enticing to us because usually it takes a year to order one and get one in and get that taken care of. All 3 of these cruisers we have negotiated with the the dealership that has them. It's two separate dealerships, and all have agreed to meet state bid price or sell the unit below state bid price, which is a very good price for us. So what I would like to do, I'd like to wrap up all the financing. The two that we paid outright for, I would like to do ask you to do a reimbursement resolution on those two. The three that we have currently financed and have for about the last 6 months since July, to wrap it up into a new finance and wrap these three new cruisers that I'm proposing that we buy into one lump financing. And we've worked, the county administrator and I have worked with Country Roads Leasing, and we got what I thought was a great rate, a 2.99 on a 3-year lease, and wrap all these up into one lease at $265,894, which equates to about an $8,000 a month payment. Right now, our payment out of that law enforcement new equipment line item is $3,400 a month. So it increases our monthly payment by by about $3,500, almost doubles it, or a little more than doubles it. And with that, if we work that out, we can definitely handle that within our budget without asking for any additional budget monies. And I hope I clearly stated everything. And of course, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Robert, Patsy has a question.
Yes, sir.
Right now, you got $35,000 left in your equipment line item. So when
That's
you get
correct.
reimbursed, are you really just going to put the reimbursement back in that line item?
That's my understanding. If you would approve a reimbursement resolution, then that would put $72,000 back into that new equipment line item. And then the payments going forward, we have 7 months left on this budget year, on this fiscal year, which would equate to a total, it would add $32,000 to that payment. So what that would basically do, that would give me another $40,000 to sustain my new equipment line item for the remainder of the year. And I'm comfortable with that. I think that gives us adequate funds to provide the service at the same level that we do without a budget increase.
Sheriff, I'm on board. I'm glad you're doing what you're doing. And at the same time, as long as there's no budget revision, transfer as much money from the other 21 line items as you want into this if you run a shortfall. But that's between you. You run your department and do a great job of it. As long as there's no budget revision, I don't care. Were any of these cruisers out of Harrison County?
No, unfortunately, the dealerships in Harrison County, the ones that we would get these Ford Interceptors don't work with the state bid and the cruisers. However, we do try to use them for some service, so we try to get them business, and it's just a unique sell, I would guess, when you're dealing with these. It's been the contention between the maintenance or the garage, the motor pool, and the command staff here at the sheriff's office that we stay with the same Ford vehicles that we historically have because of the interchangeable parts, and we can buy certain things in bulk that we use on them. So sometimes we have to go out of county, unfortunately, for those.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
All right, David? Move to approve. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
thank you.
All right. Let's go to, back up. We've got item 13 and item 15. Let's do item, Willie, is there much on item 13 to discuss about the power outage?
No, just as I noticed at the last meeting, there was appearance by the project manager for Green River. Just as a follow-up note, the original outage was scheduled for the 11th. I think he had misstated the date when he was here, but it was delayed till the next day due to weather conditions. But one of the reasons on the notification is, not sure where the issue was, but between Mon Power and Allenbeck, they did not have current information. So Mon Power was calling a number that was no longer associated with personnel from Allenbeck. So that was one reason for the notification. That has since been rectified, but that's one factor that led to poor communication.
All right, so moving forward, we have it corrected and
Yes.
we have ongoing communication.
Correct.
All right,
And to my knowledge, there's no more power outages
okay.
required at this point.
All
That I'm
right,
aware of.
David, any comments? We're just going to make it part of today's record.
Like part of today's record.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Item 15 is to review, discuss, and consider artificial tree for the courthouse courtyard. I don't know who brought that up,
I
but
did, but you can table it because it can't get here in time.
what's that?
It can't get here in time.
David, don't table it yet, because I was thinking, I love the idea of it, and even though it couldn't get here, rather than, because I saw the number for how much the tree was. And
How much is it?
34,000.
No, 3,400.
3,400.
Depends on which tree you select.
Well, listen, I misread that anyway, but anyway, let's make this so funny that he said 3,400. At this time, why don't we give the Lord's Patriot $2,000 and Wanda $2,000? They're running short. I don't want to be hungry in December, ever. But I was,
You know, I don't have an issue with.
you good with that?
Yeah.
because Willie, is that okay?
Yeah, I would,
We'll make it an agenda item next week.
If they want to send a request through, I'll just do a requisition and have the requisition for next week, if that's agreeable.
And then next year, I would like this to be a line item in the budget to get the tree. I love it. We're Bear in front.
Yeah.
Patsy, if you're doing a tree, I know in Clarksburg, you were probably a councilman then. When you guys bought that tree, I think that tree is aesthetically pleasing, but that thing was $25,000 because I know this commission looked at that because it's really a great.
Where's Hazel? What was that price?
Depends on which one you go through. If you get a tower tree, which does not require a lift or whatever,
Was it 34?
the 16-foot is 8,950. The 18 is 14,472. All of the different trees added up to 33,000.
That was all the trees.
That's where you came up.
Okay, I saw that.
Yeah.
Because I'm like,
Did we buy more
Well,
trees?
that's not you out here, Ron.
I mean,
There was five different options on this.
yeah.
Okay. Well, listen, I'd like it to, I would love to have one next year. I wish you'd work out Clarksburg that we put that big beautiful tree in front of the courthouse, because where it's at right now, it's so blah.
And you know, what do they call it, tourist development or whatever across the street where their office is, Kathy Titus's shop. They, you know, they
Yeah,
get
Greg.
Visitors Bureau.
Visitors Bureau.
visitor, yeah. They should have some money from motel tax and stuff like that they ought to be able to put in to help Clarksburg.
I know.
So I think it was that the tree couldn't get here until the 18th.
Yeah, 18th or
But I
19th,
do
yeah.
want to be charitable, and I do want to be Christmassy, but I know that we've talked to both entities right now.
All right.
And if David, if you're okay with that, two, and I'll reach out to both of them.
Just have them send an email or a letter, and then we'll do a requisition for next week for approval.
Because they're not losing.
All right.
Their game.
That's also part of today's record. So we're down to item 18, commissioners' questions, comments. Patsy.
I do. Hey, Willie, on December 11th, I've talked to Rocky, and we're going to put his tent outside for a can drive right on the Courthouse Plaza on the 10th. Can you make sure your staff is ready to set that up Wednesday morning by 9 a.m.? And they're going to decorate it Christmassy, so you might want to have somebody, I don't know what time they come in, between you and them, but that needs to be up probably by 8 so they can, and then do
Okay.
that. And then we'll have, and it's till 4, so I don't know what time the staff leaves. You may have to reduce some rescheduling so that they can then tear down
All right,
for the can drive.
won't be a problem.
And then the other thing I have is, can you have Brian, Johnny, in their spare time? We need a social media page at the courthouse.
Amen.
I mean, get it, it's free, it's Facebook. Just so we can have fun and let
That's
people
how you
know
reach
what's going
people.
on.
That's how you reach people. now.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, I mean, just to go straight to our county website's pretty,
it's rough.
well, there's no real,
There's no substance.
I mean, might be some comments that show up, but
You think?
Not sure it would be IT as much as it would clerical or
Doesn't matter to
secretarial.
me.
Yeah,
Really,
me neither.
It does not matter to me.
We'll figure out, I don't know how to do that. We'll figure out working with
Find our
Johnny, Brian, and Charlie to get it done.
Listen, find our youngest employee in the courthouse that some staff member wants to give him 20 minutes a week to work on.
Yeah.
Fill it up. 10 minutes a week. It's
Yeah.
amazing what these 20-year-old can do with Facebook.
Or an 8-year-old.
Or an 8-year-old. And that's all I have. I look forward to David's ugly sweater next week.
Oh, is it the ugly sweater?
yeah, I've got two of them. I'll probably find a third one, I don't know.
Put a bow tie on with them. I got mine on today. All right, anything else, Patsy?
No, sir.
Hear none. David?
Can I say something real quick, sir? We got word yesterday that the 911 and OEM director of Lewis County passed away. Bill Rowan passed away yesterday. So if y'all could kind of keep him here and his family.
All right.
His wife is a county clerk in Lewis County.
He started the same year I did, so we've worked together since '84. So
That scare you?
it does.
Okay, just keep that in mind.
He's had some.
He's been sick for a long time.
David, anything?
Greater Harrison County and County Commission, we're getting closer to an agreement on getting our money back.
We have a meeting scheduled, I think it's the 10th. If I remember correctly, I need to get with Mr. Hoover and Zach Dobbins on a time, but we were looking at the 10th for that meeting.
Okay, because now I see we're paying Greater Harrison to read meters.
Yeah, under the operations
Oh,
management, yes.
Legal and it seems like it's a win-win for them and a lose-lose for us.
Man,
And don't forget, they still owe us
I
$350,000.
said it's a win-win for them. We're not getting any better with them
All right,
than money.
anything else, David?
No, I just, anybody wants to look at that picture on the back wall back there, I think it's an interesting picture. Falls,
All right,
but very interesting
No windows.
view. But that's it.
No windows.
No, it's, a little guy standing there on the corner got replaced.
Oh,
yeah, you're talking about the soldier.
Yep.
It moved across the street, didn't it?
I think it moved down to the VFW for a while, and then they must have moved across the street.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay,
Interesting replacement.
all right. Keep it alive, David.
I will.
motion adjourned.
All right, my comments is,
Yeah, what's your comment?
I'm
my
sorry.
comments is to remember all the stuff to protect yourself and everyone else from the pandemic. Social distancing, washing your hands, mask. There is sun on the horizon, so be safe until next week. Motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned, sir.
All in favor, say aye. Thank you guys very much.
In the meeting.